My name is Lisa and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new to my channel, I just want to give you a little bit of background information about me. I am a former public school teacher, speaker, and disability advocate. And for those of you who are new to my channel, this is a movement that supports and empowers women with winning keys, strategies, and tips to tackle and overcome tremendous odds in the areas of travel, education, self-improvement, and mental and physical health. The end result is the fulfillment of a dream. Today's topic, a lot of you all have been writing me about, a lot of you have been asking me to do this topic. To me, as a disability advocate, this topic is critical. How to travel solo with a disability. After being put in a cast from my hip to my ankle, my doctor stressed to me the importance of a 12-week sabbatical. Yes, I said it. 12 weeks of being in a cast with my leg elevated, a cast from my hip to my ankle. After a few days, I truly began climbing the walls. How many of you guys have been there? I began to go stir crazy. But the thing that kept ringing in my mind was, am I ever going to be able to walk the beach again? That really registered with me. Will I ever be able to walk the beach? Will I ever be able to enjoy the beach? And what began happening was, despite my doctor's orders of telling me that I needed 12 weeks of being in the house with my leg elevated, I began contemplating my getaway. Yes, my getaway. Now, what I'm getting ready to tell you is an exclaimer. I don't recommend you doing what I did, but I'm telling you how I was able to travel solo with a disability and in a wheelchair. So I'm going to give you step by step by step how I did it. And what I am recommending is that you get advice from friends, medical personnel, and other people who have done it. But you must make a safety plan, which brings me to my first thing that I did. The first thing I did to be safe was to let family and friends know the details of where I was staying, where I was going, and how I was going to get there. Now, let me backtrack a little bit. When I told my son and asked him to go with me, he said, "No, Mom, I'm not going with you. You need to do what the doctor tells you to do." But there was something in me that said, I hear you. But I also heard that still small voice in me that needed so very badly to know if I could still travel with a disability. And also if I could manage going to the beach solo. I did attempt to ask my best friend. She had to work. But somehow a still small voice said to me, "You're going to be okay. You can do this. You got this. Again, I'm not recommending, but I'm telling you what I did. I'm sharing my experience with you. Number one, select a hotel that has disability features and facilities. Number one, a ramp that your wheelchair, your walker, your cane can fully access. Normally, your larger chains like your Marriott's, your Hilton's have what they call ADA equipment. Number two, make sure they have a way to access your room via an elevator. Number three, if you're in a wheelchair, see if there have rooms with peepholes, because if you cannot stand and you're in a wheelchair, that peephole has to be there so that you can see safely who's coming to your door. Number two, contact hotel staff. Speak to the front desk manager. Tell him about your proposed trip. Make him aware that you need a totally disabled room. You need a room that can access with a wheelchair. If you're visually impaired or hearing impaired, they have rooms at certain hotels to accommodate this. Let the front desk manager know exactly what your needs are and when to expect you, and possibly if you could get some assistance while you're there, like things like getting ice or minor things like that. Next, contact the city in which you're going to paratransit services. When I went to Ocean City, Maryland, I contacted their paratransit services. You might say, for those of you who are newly disabled, what are paratransit services? Well, let me kind of like give you a definition, and then I'm going to tell you my definition. Okay, a paratransit service is a van, taxi for people unable to independently use or access public transportation because of disabilities. Usually a city will provide door-to-door transportation. Transportation where they pick you up from one point and deliver you from the next point. The paratransit will make a reservation for you. So what you would do is find the city's paratransit number, and at the end in the description of this video, I'm going to leave you a description of Greyhound's transportation as well as the city of Ocean City, Maryland's transportation and paratransit's number and website. Next, contact airlines or Greyhound for your first time experience. Tell them what type of disability you have in making your reservation. If you're going to need someone to wheel you through the airport, which I have used many times, make the airlines aware of that. They will have someone to wheel you through from beginning to end. If it's Greyhound, contact their disability unit. Yes, Greyhound has a disability unit. Next, I would recommend that you go to a city that's paratransit and disabled friendly. I mentioned Ocean City, Maryland, because their whole city is devoted to persons who have disabilities. They even have a wheelchair that only is operational on the sand that persons who cannot walk or use a regular wheelchair. They have what they call beach wheelchairs that you can reserve through their disability department. Everything in Ocean City is disabled friendly, and what they have are ramps. They have ADA ramps. They have all sorts of things that will help you to access restaurants and parks in Ocean City, Maryland. Again, use a city that's disabled friendly. The only way that I don't recommend that is if you have relatives or friends meeting you at the location that you are going to. And to give you a personal note, my weekend trip was fabulous. My first solo trip with a disability was fabulous. It was to Ocean City, Maryland. I stayed at the Doubletree Hotel by Hilton. They waited on me hand and foot. It was just the trip that I needed. I needed it emotionally, I needed it spiritually, and I needed that fresh ocean air. And I needed to know that indeed I could take a solo trip with a disability. To like and subscribe, please. But most of all, comment on if indeed you have taken a solo trip with a disability. Tell me how you did it. Tell me if you use an airlines. Tell me if you use Greyhound. And tell me in the comments what disability you have. And most of all, how did you feel after you took your trip? Again, you can travel solo with a disability, but you must have a safety plan in place. Love